Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for a thoughtful conversation around Textline and Freshworks and digital marketing and conversational channels. I'm pleased to have the COO of Textline with me, AJ Chan. AJ, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Eric. Pleasure to be here.
And so we've been partners for over a year, and we've got a number of joint customers together. Thank you for partnering with us. Thank you for sponsoring our global jam. I know we got some good field traction out of that. Why don't you take a couple minutes to introduce yourself, and then we'll move on to the discussion topics.
Sure. So yeah, like Eric said, my name is AJ Chan. I'm the COO at Textline. I've been with the company basically since it started, and we've seen an incredible amount of growth in the business text messaging space, and a variety of different types of companies and use cases have kind of come about this new communication channel. I guess it's not so new, but it's newer to the business landscape. We provide kind of the platform that allows two-way texting conversation for sales, support, operations, and logistics. We work across a variety of different industries, whether it's your classic e-commerce or services, all the way to financial and healthcare, and we are HIPAA compliant and SOC compliant. And the way we kind of partnered up and came about with Freshdesk and Freshworks is there was a joint customer of ours who had been clamoring for over a year for us to build a Freshdesk integration because they were really happy with Freshdesk, really happy with Textline, and wanted both of those worlds to merge. And as soon as kind of this customer connected us with Freshworks, really the opportunities have really expanded, both as a partner, but ultimately serving customers who want best of class and a tool that allows them to have a 360 view of all of their customers, and also wanting a best of class communication tool.
So in today's I don't know if we can say post-pandemic world, because everybody seems to be getting sick with COVID. At least all my friends are. But in this pandemic-influenced world that drove a lot more commerce online, a lot more customer interactions online, what are the fundamental truths that are kind of independent of the pandemic? Like, for example, you got to meet the customer in their channel of choice. What are kind of the undeniable truths that the pandemic haven't really changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think that ultimately, we know that the customer is in control. And I think with the pandemic, we've learned that the customer is in more control, than ever before, whether they're working in an office or working at home, working in the field, or kind of really, in a way, multitasking nowadays. And our cell phones have become kind of the new computer, so to speak, for the new laptop for where everyone acts and everyone does work and personal life, and all of these worlds are kind of merging together. And I think because of this multitasking, a channel like texting and other channels like that have become kind of more ingrained and more necessary within how people operate and how businesses communicate with customers. Because nowadays, if you have kids or you're at home and you're needing to drop someone off, pick somebody up, wait in line somewhere, you're in a Zoom meeting or you're on this webinar and you're getting text conversations, I can respond and interact with those right now. And then wait for a response. I don't have to sit for an hour and a half on hold. My wife is a lawyer. She was on hold for an hour and a half with a credit card company, the other day, and just had to sit and wait and basically just put it on mute and just kind of did her work as that was going. It wasn't really the best, most convenient, kind of use case, but I think that's what's kind of happening, where our lives, our personal life and our work life are kind of more intertwined more than ever.
Yeah, well, that's legacy customer support for you, right? I mean, that would be one kind of undeniable truth, which is, in today's age, I think people expect, hey, why didn't I get an option for a callback? Or why didn't I, get the opportunity to not sit on the line for hours and hours? And I think in that realm, instant, quicker responses that get me to resolution is a fundamental truth that hasn't changed. And in fact, the bar has risen with technology's capabilities to do that. What other trends are you seeing in, in various modes of communication? What we're seeing is a massive shift, obviously, uh, um, from voice communications to chat communications. Some of those chats being AI powered to deflect or resolve things more quickly. What are the other trends that you see in resolutions?
Yeah, so I'm going to build off of something that you mentioned where you said that, speed is the key. I would actually take that a different direction and say convenience is the key. Sometimes speed is part of convenience, but at the end of the day, if you're meeting the customer where they're at, you're meeting them how they want to communicate, when they want to communicate, and how they want to resolve something. And so I think that's what we're seeing, right? And I think, whether it's, a customer needing to actually talk to someone and wanting to talk to someone. I think that higher touch level of communication is still there when it makes sense and when there's a complex issue or when there needs to be trust built, right? And so I think we've kind of pushed so far away from wanting the phone or wanting to get people off the phones that there are certain industries and certain instances where the phone is the most convenient and the most effective way to resolve an issue and to, build customer trust. And I think what I'm seeing and what we're seeing with a lot of our customers is really that omni-channel experience of really figuring out what is the right channel at the right time for the right situation. And we're in the texting space, and I'll tell you, texting isn't the solution for everything, just as phone and email and live chat and social isn't. But I think really, I think what you're seeing a lot of companies do as businesses just change is just reevaluate. Wait a minute. Did I just pick these channels because I thought this is what I needed to do? Or let me go back and just backtrack through the full customer journey and see, what mode of communication makes the most sense at each step of the way.
And you're seeing reaching people in the channel that they want. I like that idea of and doing it in a convenient fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily the fastest, but the most convenient.
Mm-hmm.
And have you been able to tie this new journey, this new customer support journey to sentiment or NPS, Net Promoter Score?
Anecdotally, we haven't yet. I think we offer NPS and surveys, and I think from what we see that customers that are offering text or offering text as a communication seem to have a bit of a higher NPS score. But I think where I've really seen it personally is from kind of the data that customers share with us when they say things like the retention or kind of LTV of a customer has grown as we've reevaluated our kind of customer experience kind of journey. And I think at the end of the day, NPS, CSAT, and really all metrics lead back down to dollars, right? Are you helping drive the bottom line, right? And those are kind of checkpoints along the way. And so I've been really impressed by brands and companies that are really focused on, not just are customers happy, but are they staying longer and are they spending more?
Yeah, and we see a lot of omni-channel in our online retailers, right? So
Mm-hmm.
one of our big customers is Uni Pizzas, the Swedish
Yep.
pizza oven. That's
I have one in the backyard.
exactly. So they cost like $800. Then they're tough to set up. I mean, you got to get the baffles right. You got to get everything just right to really make it get up to that 1,000 degrees. And they use they tripled in sales during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
but with the same employee count. How did they do that? Well, they did it on Freshdesk, and they did it by providing that convenient customer experience. For example, if I can quickly text back and forth with a bot or a live agent, and it helps me to crack the code on getting my Uni pizza oven going the first time, guess what? I'm going to go buy one for a family member or a friend. You got a customer for life.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
can you tell me about any kind of magical stories in the online world?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a few that come to mind. I think anything in like the commerce space or kind of physical goods space, what we see quite a bit in the texting world is not just using texting as a new channel, but kind of the aspects of texting that make it unique to help unlock solutions. So for example, photos are massively important, right? When you call support or and you say, hey, I have this issue, or something's broken or something's not working, and the question is, what's broken, what's not working? Well, this little thing on the top left-hand corner seems to be, it's hard to describe what it is versus being able to take a photo and say, hey, this is what the issue is. Or for sales, it's really helpful if there's kind of a physical or visual component to it. You can, we see a lot of companies being able to provide quotes a lot faster. Here's all my junk, or here is the HVAC or home service aspect. Can you provide me a quote for this? And I think the other piece that we really see with texting, in addition to photos, is kind of the links, and using links to actually drive to call to action, whether it's a sign up or a purchase. And I think this is where you kind of use texting kind of as a concierge service for you, right? Where normally you have, the rich and famous all have personal assistants, or they have personal shoppers, and what are they doing? They're texting with them and sending photos back and forth. And now this, kind of empowers companies to provide that same kind of concierge service at scale, by being able to being in the pockets of your customers, so to speak. So, that's something on the e-commerce side. And one thing I also wanted to mention is that Global Jam, we met, and I forgot the name of a company, but they serve a lot of teachers. I think they provide testing software for teachers. And, traditionally they've done email and phones. And, they have known that they just struggle getting in touch with teachers, and they've always struggled. But that's what's historically been used. And so, when they thought about the concept of texting, it was, oh, wow, because teachers in between classes, while there's downtime, they can't get on the phone, but they can just send a quick text. Hey, this is what's wrong with the software. Can you help me with this? Or I need to get, this new test programmed, by next week. And being able to go back and forth there, I think has been really helpful for them in those environments where you can't get on the phone, and, folks are kind of in the field, so to speak. So I think there's a lot of different applications, but I think, at the end of the day, it all comes down to solving problems and kind of using this channel in kind of a creative way for what suits your business.
I say hooray to less email. And, I think we talked about this last time. Texting is still such a personal thing. I mean, there's, it's basically I imagine my experience is very similar to a lot of consumers' experience, which is my response rate to a text is going to be exponentially higher than it is to an email.
Yeah.
Because I'm not getting bombarded as much by text. I get a lot of robocalls, but I don't get a lot of robo texts. And it's like a clear path to get my attention. So
right.
That's been happening. Do you have any magical use cases around reputation management or rewards too? Because that's pretty cool. Hey, you have a great service experience, and hey, did we fix your uni pizza? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Well,
here's 20% off to buy one for a friend.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. I think part of why texting is so successful compared to email and phone is because you're not getting spammed as much, and it is kind of that channel where you're sitting between friends and family. And so we tell customers quite a bit that when you start abusing this channel, right, with your customers, you lose trust probably faster than any other channel. And so while you get those high open rates and high response rates, in order to stay there, you can't abuse the channel. You have to use it, when it's appropriate. And really, a lot of the texting regulation and communication regulations around opt-ins and things of that nature, I think, are even more critical in texting compared to kind of other channels that are there. And so, we take a really strong stance on that with things like the 10 DLC and campaign registry, which is kind of a newer effort by the carriers, so like AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, to ensure that real businesses are using texting for legitimate purposes and are doing everything properly as far as getting opt-ins and things of that nature. And so we first take that into play, because again, too much of a good thing can get abused, and that's why people kind of change channels over time.
Yeah, in fact, if you look at the telephony providers like a Five9 or others, they went through that space where people were getting really tired of the robocalls, and so if you notice, Five9 has really gone away from the outbound robocalling, and the regulations have cracked down on it. So I'm pleased to see a little cleaner channel that way. But texting, yeah, has always been the least the least bombarded of all the channels that reach me.
Yeah, and kind of back to your question around kind of rewards or kind of being able to kind of close that loop with the customer. I think that we talk to companies all the time of you are kind of their concierge, right? And concierge is to serve, not to annoy, and you're there to add value. And so what we see a lot of brands doing is, in a text conversation or in a phone conversation, being able to transition to text and say, hey, look, that was our bad. Let me just text you a coupon right there. Or, let me check in with you and see how everything's going. By the way, are you interested in XYZ? And I can send you a coupon for that as well. There also are the use cases where, customers are proactively signing up, self-serving, raising their hand saying, hey, I'd like to receive updates on a regular basis about XYZ. And companies and brands doing that there as well. But I think really kind of going back to the concierge experience, the real value that brands have are not just blasting out coupons via text, but really building that relationship and adding value. So
it's got to have context. It can't be out of nowhere, right?
Exactly. Like, for example, we see this all the time with service businesses where they'll say things like, hey, how was the job that we just did? It was great. Awesome. Just a heads up, here's a $20 off coupon for the next time you need your gutters cleaned or your Christmas lights hung up or whatever it may be, to come back, right? And I think that's all probably pretty common. Customers happy. There's a reason, because those are repeatable types of actions. It's not like, oh, you bought a pair of shoes, well, buy another pair of shoes, right? It doesn't really quite align as well.
Yeah. So let's take a few minutes to kind of dream about the future.
Sure.
So one of the things we're looking at with some of our partners, as an example, is say I've got a high-end use case where I'm repairing the HVAC system, and now I'm going to flip to video, and the guy that rolled to my house doesn't have the expertise, so he's going to put on some glasses, virtual reality glasses. He's going to look at the HVAC, and somebody back at headquarters is going to be able to tell him what to do, him or her, what to do through the glasses. And that's going to save us another truck roll of an expert to go out to that site. So the virtual reality piece is definitely a trend we've got our eyes on. What are some other kind of futuristic trends that you guys have your eyes on?
Yeah, so just really quickly on that, while VR isn't quite here for that, we are seeing, video being used quite a bit, from headquarters to the field team when things happen either with customers or dispatchers, and almost like a pseudo FaceTime call, kind of on a platform that allows you to walk through what's going on and provide support. So that's already here, right? Not quite the VR side. I think from the future of what we see in regards of texting, it's kind of boring, where we'll tell you that we're more interested in kind of helping support agents and adding more AI, machine learning into how you could make agents more effective and more efficient in what they do. And the reason for that is, I think there's a time and a place for automation, and I think we're going through this wave where we're wanting bots and automated processes to solve human issues. Big piece financial, but I think more than ever, especially as people are working from home more and kind of in their homes, people are craving human connection and human trust. There's also more choices for folks, and trust and connection becomes the differentiator when choosing a product or service. And so how do you help agents scale what they do? And so you can still add that personalization, but but to speed them up a bit more. And so that's kind of where we're thinking and looking at more so. I think, kind of like what I mentioned earlier about the world moving a bit more towards automation on the front end. I think we're now doing that with, like I said, AI and machine learning, and so I think we're pushing the boundaries there. But quite frankly, I don't think it's that great quite yet. It's going to take a while. And so, what kind of more of the immediate fixes are to create those delightful experiences by empowering kind of the human team.
Yeah, I've got a question coming up from the audience, but I can tell you, I've said thank you to more than one AI bot because I was just it was a natural reaction to a successful, convenient resolution to the question. The question we have is automation and a personalized touch both possible? And I'm going to add at scale with today's technology.
100%. I think it's just a matter of a company's commitment to that and to their customers, right? I think, there is this kind of happy medium between being able to be an efficiently run organization where you're keeping costs in line, right? And also an organization that, what we like to think about it is how do you provide kind of that old fashioned Main Street USA personal touch and charm? And so very simple things of checking in with customers, whether it's via text or via phone, to seeing how they're doing, to see if they have any questions like the uni pizzas or kind of higher end, more complex purchases, to see how the setup went, to get ahead of those issues, I think are ways that we're seeing customers do that. And through texting, it becomes kind of one to many with that level of personalization. And so, we see it all the time. Customer gets a product, and companies will automate texts that say, hey Eric, this is AJ from XYZ company, saw that you just purchased the product. Did you actually get it? And wanted to see if you had any questions with the setup, or your warranty is 90 days out, so just wanted to see right now if you had any questions or if there's anything that you can do. And so there are business value in that, to potentially create an exchange versus a refund, for example, and things like that. And so I think there totally is a way to do that, and it's just a matter of I think, again, walking yourself through that full customer journey and seeing how to implement the tools. Because I think email is great. I think phone is great. I think all the channels are great when they're used in the right time.
Well, AJ, we're about out of time. Really enjoyed this thoughtful discussion with you on modern connection points with customers and where technology is taking us. Thanks again for being such a great partner and sponsor. We look forward to a lot of great business with you. LinkedIn audience, if you'd like to learn more, please contact us, and we'll deep dive with you on our use cases and customer case studies. And with that, thank you all for joining.
Thanks, Eric.